Okay, so this is kind of, I guess, a travel through my mind. I'm about to get really personal with a lot of you because my name is Jacob Klingensmith, and I'm 26 years old. I'm getting ready to graduate from school. I have a vast interest in media and TV. I really love hard rock and heavy metal. I love hanging out with my friends. I love playing video games. I love just living life. But there's a challenge, and that I'm autistic. I am on the spectrum. I was diagnosed when I was very young. I think my mom said I was maybe 4 or 5 when I was diagnosed. And it's a high functioning autism. The actual term is Asperger's syndrome, but high functioning autism is basically the same thing. And it's hard for a lot of people to understand, but basically, like, I can do what everybody else can do. I can bathe myself, I can feed myself, I can get a good education, I can go out in the workforce and get a good job, I can drive a vehicle, I can do all those things, but I still have, social dynamics to work against when I'm out there in the real world. And it made for an interesting upbringing growing up. When I grew up, I went to private school down in Florida, where I'm from, and it was a really tough experience. Not so much at first, but later on it did, because as I got older, I started getting taller, and then I started putting on some weight, and some kids took notice, and I got made fun of a lot. And I came to my mom one day, and I was just like, "Mom, I can't take it there anymore. I need to get out." And she was like, "Okay, here's what we'll do." She pulled my sister and I out of that private school, and midway through the fifth grade, I was starting to be homeschooled. I was homeschooled for about 4.5 years, pretty much through ninth grade. And during that time, I moved. I moved from Florida up to here, and when you're homeschooled and you move to a new area, like, it's not easy at all, because I had friends down in Florida, I had family down in Florida, I had a life down there, and then the economy was in the crapper, and my dad was threatened with losing his job unless he took one in Charlotte, and so he packed us up and moved us up here, which I hated at first, and now looking back on it, it was probably the best thing to happen to our family. Um, and I was homeschooled, as I said, up till ninth grade, and then I made the decision to go to public school beginning in 10th grade. And that transition from homeschool to public school for a normal kid is hard. For an autistic kid, it's almost impossible. But I still took that risk. And looking back on it, like, I always tell people, if they had met me when I was 16, they would have hated me. And I say that in all fairness, because at that, I had this state of mind where I felt like if I could say or do anything, like, people might actually accept me. Because I went into this not knowing how the world worked. Who am I kidding? I still don't. Um, but that transition, it was eye opening for me, because it was a crash course in what the world was like outside of my house. And I continued on, graduated from public high school, and then went to college, got into the workforce, and I still have to combat these issues years later. And it's a misconception that I feel like I need to address, because, believe it or not, there are actually some people who believe autism is some kind of mental illness, which is a lie. Do not listen to that. They think autism can be cured. It cannot. Mental illnesses, if treated properly, can be cured. Autism is something I have to live with for the rest of my life. I have to constantly live in a state of social anxiety when I go out into the real world. And even as far as I've come now, in terms of, the friends that I've made, the experiences that I've had, I still struggle getting to know new people, new faces, new names. That gives me a tremendous amount of anxiety and fear, and really the fear of the unknown. I know how it can be for some people, but for me, like, the fear of the unknown absolutely cripples me. Like, if I don't know you, if there's some kind of big event going on with a lot of noise, like, you'll find me, like, off to the corner on my computer or on my phone with my headphones in, just kind of retreating, trying to find some kind of quiet space. Because, like, a bunch of people I don't know making a bunch of noise freaks me out to no end. And to give you kind of an example, when I went to go see the musical theater workshop, I think it was a few weeks ago, I went to go support my friend who was in it. And to her credit, she came over and talked to me for like a few minutes, like away from all the chaos over there. And then she went back into it because, she had a lot of friends that were over there. And I couldn't follow her because, like I said, there were too many strangers. I just couldn't do it. So I just got in my car and left. And, sometimes I look back on stuff like that and I'm just like, maybe I could have gone in, maybe I could have, made a really good impression if I had just a little bit more faith in myself. But then I started thinking it's not so much about having faith in yourself, it's about overcoming your discomfort. And it was a very discomforting situation. And it's affected me in like all facets of life. Like stuff I've had to do in life, it takes me longer than most people do. Like most people my age got their driver's licenses when they were 16, 17. I didn't get mine until I was 20. Heck, I didn't even have my permit until I was 18. So, I have to be taught things. People have to repeat things to me, more often than not. And I didn't start working until I was 19, and I didn't pursue like a 4-year education until I was 2 years into a TV job. I had just turned 23 when I started going to Winthrop, which compared to the most of the student body is pretty old. So it definitely made for a learning experience, but I don't take any of my time anywhere for granted, because any conversation I have with somebody, there's always something for me to learn. I learned something about, what makes people tick, what's really going on, who they really like musically in terms of film or even politics, even though I can't stand politics. I'm always listening and I'm always present in every conversation, and it doesn't read that well on my face. And there's not really, I try to figure that out, but it's really, really hard. And my mom says it's because, people with Asperger's have a hard time making eye contact with people they don't know. And they also have a hard time willingly putting on a happy face. Because even though you could be really excited about something, like if I did get this job that I was talking about, or if I was able to land a date with this really great girl, I could be really excited, but it wouldn't read on my face. And people would be like, "Are you really that excited?" They may not say that out loud, but they'll probably be thinking that. And speaking of dating, dating is another thing that's really hard for me. Because, my friend Maria and I were going back and forth on this. And she once said that, the worst thing she could say to you is no. I'm like, that's the point. Being told no when you're in that situation is the worst thing. And this may sound a little melodramatic, but it feels like part of your soul dies, when you get turned down like that. And I've never had a real girlfriend as a result. I've wanted one for a long time, but I've had to accept that, maybe it's not meant to happen right now, or maybe it might not ever happen. I may never get married. I may never get a chance to be a father. And as much as I want that life, do I need that life? Is it something I need? I don't know. I may never know, like I said. And I'm trying to tell myself, if it doesn't work out, if it doesn't happen, it's okay. Because you've still got a family behind you. You've still got all your friends that are behind you. Maybe it's just not meant to be. And you're going to be okay. I like to still believe that, but, we're not guaranteed tomorrow, so I always have to wake up and wait and see. what happens next. And I really, really wanted to make this about me because I don't think enough people really understand where I come from. They don't understand how difficult some things are for me. Um, I take a lot of risks now, but it's easier to take those risks when you have your friends behind you and being like, you can do it, dude. To the friends of mine who have done that, you have no idea how much that means to me. You really don't. And I thank God every day that I have a solid support system like you all. And it's really made big dividends in my progress in life because every day that passes, I grow slightly more confident. Confident enough to where I feel like I can handle this. And if I do step out of line, it's something for me to learn. It's something to know to avoid for next time. And every day I leave my house, I'm a little more dangerous. That doesn't mean I'm to be feared. It just means I'm going out more confident. I'm going out more fearless. I'm going out more sure of myself. And the goal is to have people recognize that I'm not the same guy they met. I'm a changing human being. I'm a growing human being. And who knows what comes next? All I know is whatever does, I'm looking forward to it.
That's good.
All right.
That's perfect.